jealousy kicks in. But jealousy is truly just a masked desire. You're jealous because you desire something that someone else is sharing or has, and that's why you feel that way. So again, intuitive awareness, what can I see beyond where I am right now? Like, what perception shift gets to take place? Welcome to the Rylee June Show. I'm your host, Rylee June, international intuition coach and spiritual activator. This podcast is designed for the souls who are ready to dive into what spirituality, consciousness, and healing truly is like. Here you will find the conversations and insight most spiritual teachers aren't willing to have. Why? Because we pull back the curtain on what truly takes place as you move through your healing journey, the duality of the light and the dark, and the role ethics and integrity undeniably play in your ascension experience. I have had the pleasure of working with tens of thousands of people, from clients, stories shared through messenger chats, and others in the industry, to know exactly what this journey will look like for you. These episodes will share conversations of industry leaders bridging the gap to the new paradigm of reality, and individuals sharing their heart through their soul's journey they've been through and what they've learned along the way. So if you're ready to go deep, unlock truth, and activate into the blueprint of you, this is going to be a space you're not going to want to miss out every Monday. Are you ready? Let's activate. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another session. I am so excited to dive into today. First of all, if we are just connecting for the very first time, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Rylee June. I am your host of the Rylee June Show. And today we're going to be talking about rising as a potent feminine leader and knowing how. And this really makes me so excited because this is something that no matter what level you're at, where you're starting, where you have evolved into, how much you're making, it is a constant reevaluation of the 4 things that we are going to cover today. Before we get into today's episode, I want to start off with some announcements. So if you are local to Edmonton and surrounding area, we are hosting the Sip and Social networking event for female entrepreneurs and business owners in Edmonton and surrounding area. So we, as in myself, Kimberly, Valerie, and Stacy, we are going to be putting together an event on July 21st at the Brew and Bloom Cafe in downtown Edmonton. Tickets are $80 to join us, and it is going to be an evening of networking with other beautiful, incredible women in your community. We have catering, we have games, we have over $1,000 of donated door prizes at this point. It is just phenomenal, and we still have 3 weeks until the event. So all of these things are just going to continue to go up. So in terms of door prizes and the experience, it is from 7:30 till 9:30. And we just sat down. It's so funny how we all connected. We joined a mastermind program that was based out of the US, and we ended up in another community. Kimberly and I were in a mastermind. Stacy was in a different program that she connected to a person who was in the mastermind with us. Hopefully you're still following along. And we ended up all joining then a community together beyond the mastermind, and found out we all lived together, all lived in Edmonton, which is super cool. So we went for lunch one day and we sat down and we looked at each other and we're like, we all realized that we need to start hosting events, right? We were just getting so tired of watching them be done in the States, and not because they shouldn't be done in the States, but because there was nowhere in Edmonton where these things were taking place. Networking events, women's nights, business experiences, nothing. And so we know if you are seeing something that is not there, but you want to experience it, build it yourself. So and put our heads together. We're going to be doing this, and I am so excited to also meet so many of you in person, which is always my favorite part. So the link to the tickets are going to be in the show notes. Second announcement is today is the last day to join last minute for the Mastermind, and I'm going to leave the enrollment page open for you listening to the podcast. So I'm not going to be talking about this anywhere else. So if you listen to this podcast and you wish you would have jumped in, this is your last chance, because as of Tuesday, it is going to be silenced. The page will be silenced. You will not be able to enroll, and you're going to have to wait for the certification program that's coming in 2023. If you are wanting to scale and develop your skill sets and business surrounding all things holding space for people in the spiritual community. Thirdly, we have our Expander membership, which is on a promo rate for $8 a month if you are on a self-development and spiritual journey. So the Expander membership has been one of my favorite community experiences that I've built over the last year and a half. You will be joining over 100 women who are aligning and ascending and spending the time getting to know who they are beyond all the labels in their life. We have this promo rate on until the 7th because we have recently restructured the schedule surrounding what the membership is all about, how it supports you, and the 3 pillars of how I'm going to help you get to where you need to be or desire to be. And it is based off of transparency, education, and faithfulness, because you need the trifecta to be able to truly overcome the walls and the barriers and limitation, no matter what level you're at. And lastly, I have 3 spots available for 1 month of coaching. So these were previously my accelerator coaching packages, and they are here to support you if you are someone who is wanting that hands-on experience of someone who is looking into your life from the outside in with the tools and the skill sets to support you in expanding your awareness, helping you to define who you are beyond the labels, and holding you accountable and consistent to the plans and the goals tailored to you and where you want to inevitably be 6 months from now. So if this is you and you align with desiring that type of support, and you are truly ready to invest in your ascension moving forward, then don't wait any longer. Come and DM me on Instagram, or you can email support@ryleejune.ca, and we will connect and see if this is a good fit for you. So these are the 4 things that we have going on right now. The Sip and Social on July 21st, if you're local to Edmonton and you are a female entrepreneur and business owner. The last day to jump into the Mastermind if you're looking for more of a community approach to growing and expanding your skill set and your business. The Expander membership at a promo rate until the 7th. If you are on a personal development and spiritual journey and seeking not only the education, but also the community aspect of growth, or if you are looking for that one-on-one hands-on experience, I have 3 spots available for 1-month packages. These are only going to be open and available. So I'm taking 3 clients on for July. I'll do 3 more in August, and then I won't be doing any more one-on-one coaching. Maybe even indefinitely. I haven't quite decided, but especially not after September, because end of September, beginning of October, baby will be born, and then I will be on maternity leave until 2023. So it's so incredible to just honestly create a life that is truly by your design. And that's really what we're going to get into today. So if any of those spoke to you, the links are all in the show notes. For coaching, email support@ryleejune.ca or hit me up on Instagram @ryleejune.ca, and we'll chat and we'll connect. But going into today's topic, this is something that I really want to dig into with you today, because even if you're not building your own business, you're going to get so much out of this episode that the 4 things that are truly going to set you aside and set you apart from where you were and where you want to be in life, in business, in development, in healing, it's still always going to come down to these 4 factors. And before I get into them, I really want to just share this story that is so relevant to what I mean when I go into these 4 things. When you are rising in your life and you are becoming the leader, maybe not necessarily the leader of a community if you're on a self-development journey, and equally if you are becoming a leader in building community. When you are doing that, it becomes a shift in mindset. It's more so about you learning to take control of what you can control of your life and really surrendering and allowing for the blessings and the outcomes and the unprocessed stuff to come up, but with the determination and the commitment to keep going. Rising as a potent feminine leader in your life, in your business, is about showing up every day. And not just in the aspects of doing the workout, putting out the post, taking a specific action. It's in the mindset that you continue to allow yourself to sit back, lean back, and reframe when the barriers, the limitations come up for you. I don't like to use the word blocks because truly we are never blocked. It's just a limitation in our perception every single time. And oftentimes that's usually where I start with my clients, is supporting them in being able to understand the difference between I have a block and I have a limited perception, because both of them are different. One stipulates, I have a block stipulates that there is an outside force or factor that is against you. The other one, I have a limited perception, stipulates that you, always come back to you, are unable to see beyond a story, a current circumstance, an emotion, an experience that is surrounding your life at this time. And why there's this differentiation is because we all come from the ingrained survivalistic tendencies. Our subconscious mind is constantly combating itself against our consciousness and our unconsciousness. The stories we want to experience and what we see, and the stories, the beliefs that have formulated over time based on others' opinions, projections, teaching, education, and so on and so forth. And our subconscious is this barrier in the middle that's trying to keep you safe. Ultimately, we can talk about it as ego, but ultimately your ego is truly just your subconscious. So if we take the word ego out of it, unless we're assuming ego is pride, because in that case, that makes way more sense. Ego being related to pride, you are too prideful to see or to take that next step in whatever that looks like for you. Whereas for ourselves, when we have this desire to move forward, it is our subconscious mind that we're truly working against, or learning to work with, I should say, in those moments of growth and ascension. And at every stage and level, that doesn't go away. I've said this before on previous podcasts where hopefully this isn't the first time you're hearing it, but if it is, thank God, because now you can take a moment to just pause and breathe. Let's do that together. Let's take a moment. Let's just breathe. Wherever you're at, nice big deep breath in. And just exhaling and releasing. That right there is a moment for you to pause and to sit back. And why those moments are so important is because every time you try to go forward with doing something that is unknown, that is foreign, that is different, that is a change, that is a challenge, your work is in the reframes. It is in the pauses and the resets. Because when you can train yourself to stop and be and observe, it makes it so much easier for you to pull out of the dynamic of there's a block in my way, there's an external force against me, there's your combative subconscious against you, or maybe your ego, so your pride, and shift into the mode of, I am limiting my perception in some way. One of them says, I can't do this because of ABC. The other one says, where can I get more curious about what's truly happening beyond what I can perceive in this moment? And it's in those spaces where you, as the leader of your life or of a community, or I should say, and of a community, really start to redefine what else is possible. When you watch these people, and maybe I'm one of those people for you, where there's this projection of there's success and there's this overcoming and there's this light at the end of the tunnel and there's somewhere where you want to be, whether that's relationally, financially, emotionally, health-wise, right? It is literally that. That is what they are doing. They are pausing and they are reframing and they're getting curious about where they get to be more accountable and responsible to shifting their perspective, because that is the paradigm shift. From pride standing in your way, oh, this is holding me back, to where can I shift my perspective? And it really even goes back to the story of Jesus at the Last Supper. Because at the Last Supper, Jesus shares with the disciples that one of them will betray him. And all of them, except for Judas, says, "Is it I? Is it I? Is it I?" Where Judah steps up and says, "It will not be me." All of them but one stood in that space of, where do I get to improve? Where am I more responsible and accountable for the outcome of this event that is going to take place? Whereas one, Judah, says, it will not be me. There is pride in the way. There is ego in the way. There is this undeniable need to not disappoint someone outside of them. Whereas the rest of them, the other 11, sat back and said, there's an opportunity for improvement here if it is me. Let me look inside. And that is your self-healing journey. That is the work of rising as a leader. Because behind the scenes in your healings, in your readings, in your coaching programs, you are stepping back to say, where can I better improve myself? And this was a huge dynamic change for me when I got into mediumship work, because I realized very quickly there are a lot of people getting taught this stuff that are not qualified. And I say this lovingly, but let's also be honest here, that are not qualified to hold space for people in grief. Whether they don't understand grief, they don't understand that they're holding space for grief, which is even worse and happens so often, truly. Even in the coaching industry, people go in, they've overcome a circumstance in their life, and they say, hey, I've overcame A, and I'm going to help people with A. But just because you overcame your own circumstance doesn't mean that's going to apply for other people, right? This is why in my programs, I teach how to identify people's perception. Because when you can identify different degrees of perception, then you know how to tailor your conversation to the client that you are sitting with. This is also why I teach emotional intelligence, because you have to be able to pull yourself out of that client's story so that you can actually support them in reflecting back and guiding them through the things that they are coming to you for. This is also why I teach behavior, being able to read energy, read the signs of the person's behavioral language. Because if you can't do that and you keep pushing through a story or pushing through someone saying, well, I don't want to go there, or that person is just fill in the blank, or and when I used to do mediumship, I only want to talk to this person. I do not want to talk to this person. If you can't read, and not only just read, but know how to navigate the behaviors of those dynamics of a client, which can show up in one way, in a multitude of different ways, then you will always struggle to be able to actually not only take people deeper within their experience, but also to be able to help them to actually resolve what they are challenged by, because you will lack the ability to support them in seeing beyond the story, because you yourself aren't able to see beyond the story. And I don't say that to like put anyone in their place, but I do share that because it took me honestly like one session in to realize that I needed to learn way more about this stuff. But it has been over the last 4.5 years that I have continued to grow and evolve my understanding of basic principles of psychology, of how the brain works, of how perception works, of how emotions work, of how behavior works, because it is so much more complex. And I share this because as you are rising to be a leader, it is because of your continued commitment to education and analyzing the circumstances in which you are presented with your clients' experiences that is truly going to set you apart. And even in a personal dynamic, it is in your ability to continue to invest in and educate yourself. And investment doesn't always necessarily mean money. It also means time. Reading books, listening to podcasts, joining free master classes, getting into the Expander membership community. Like, no shame, I'm plugging my own work, but it's in these experiences where you really allow yourself to develop a new way of living, a new way of perceiving, a new way of believing, a new way of continuing to grow. Even for myself, it was through constant analysis of what was working and what was not, what was leading to the greatest transformations, and where there were the hangups within my clients that ultimately led me to continuously ask, well, what is better? What is better? What is bigger? What is more expanded than just spirit guides? What is more expanded than just elementals? What is more expanded than deities and goddesses? What is more expanded than the universe? What is more expanded than quantum theory? Quantum theory is the science as far as it can prove that God truly exists. That everything cannot come from nothing. It has to come from something. And in the spiritual new age industry, it's very quickly settled into universe because that is the most neutral. But if you're really wanting to go to the depth of understanding who you are, you must come to terms with understanding and leaning into the very one who created you, because you can only perceive your own depth to as far as you can understand and see yourself. And there will always be a limitation based on your environment, based on your relationships, based on your conversations, based on the things that you think and the food that you eat, and the practices and habits that you carry out through each day. There's not a stop point. So I'm going to go into these 4 factors here in a moment, but I really want to leave with this before we go into them. As you go on a spiritual and self-development growth and journey, there's not an actual stop point. So I would invite you to start thinking about it more as like a staircase or a ladder. And inevitably, or I guess relevantly, we're going on that staircase or up that ladder, whether you're choosing to be consciously aware of developing yourself and uncovering all the patterns and the habits and the beliefs and the energy barriers, whether you like it or not. Even if you don't do anything. You never read a book. You never listen to another podcast. You never hire a coach. None of that. You never do any of that stuff. You're still going to be going up that staircase because you're going to constantly be presented with opportunities to evolve, whether you choose to do them or not. The difference, however, is when you choose to be conscious, you become more aware of all the factors going on in your life. And this is often where a lot of people really get stuck, is because they go into this space of opening up this can of worms that is their life, that is their consciousness, that is their subconscious, and even their unconsciousness. And they start to see things with a new lens. And when you see things with a new lens, life takes an entirely different form. And this is why getting into community and having the support from someone who is where you want to be, or like, and trust to get you to where you want to be, is so radically important. Because when you can do that for yourself, when you can take off those rose-colored glasses and you can start pulling apart these different aspects of your life, which, by the way, you can't just pull apart one. When you unravel one, you get to find the patterns and the consistencies and how they're showing up in other areas of your life. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. You're just unaware of it at that time. So when you start to process that and you start to really decode everything taking place in your life, this is where a lot of people really get overstimulated. And I want to talk about this for a moment, because this is what I mean by how important it is to continue as someone who supports other people, why it's so important to develop and continue to educate yourself on how to appropriately hold space for people. I was recently talking with a really good friend of mine, and she was sharing a personal experience about therapy that she had gone through. And we were having the conversation about how wildly important it is to not only be appropriately equipped with the tools to support people when they're going through mental processes and emotional and physical processes, but even more so how in a lot of cases, this online work can really only take people so far. And if you are not a licensed therapist, why it is so important to not only educate yourself so in depth, but also to know the extent of who you can work with and to what degree. Because some people will come to you, especially if you label yourself as a healer, as a reader, as a medium, and they will have a duffel bag full of internal experiences and suppressed memories and all of this gunk in their life from their past that they don't want to talk about, they might want to deal with, but they're not ready to. They have little self-awareness, are not equipped with any tools to support themselves. Or it's just so deep and traumatic, it happened over long extended periods of time. Those are the clients that you should not be working with, because those are the clients that need to be held in a very safe container. And that typically means that there is some form of personal in-person experience. It is often when people are unpacking the traumas of their past, like really deep, significant traumas of their past, that they need to know physically that they are safe. And online and over Zoom, it doesn't actually help people to the degree, the foundational degree that it can. Now, I'm not saying it's not impactful, and I'm not saying it's potent, and I'm not saying it's not possible. What I am saying is really being mindful of how and in what ways you are supporting people when it comes to their psyche as a healer, as a reader, as a medium, as a coach, right? And continuing to invest in your education. This was something that I noticed very, very early on. And so if I have someone who comes to me and we jump on a consult call, they want to do coaching or they want to be in a program with me, and we start to really look at some of the barriers that they're facing, and we start to uncover some of the experiences of where those stemmed from, I will know very quickly whether or not I am capable of holding space for them. And I have in the past said that I am not the right fit for them, because I'm not going to put myself consciously and legally in a position where I could potentially damage someone else, like not intentionally by any means, right? You don't intend to harm, right? But just knowing that this person really truly does deserve to have someone who's licensed to be able to truly hold space for them. And that in-person recommended is likely going to be best for them. What they choose to do with that information is totally up to them. But this is a big part of rising as a potent leader and knowing how. It's not just about the strategies of how to get more sales or in what ways you can find more people to join your programs. It's in knowing how you hold space for someone that is going to truly set you apart. My containers are undoubtedly transformative if you're someone who's truly willing to show up and do the work, period. That is because I have worked on myself and invested in myself and invested in my brain so that I know my own limitations. And that doesn't just happen overnight. And I really invite you to sit with that for a moment. And then I promise we're going into these 4 here in 1 minute. I really invite you to sit with that for a moment, whether you're on a personal self-development journey or whether you're rising as a spiritual leader. to really sit with knowing that your work is in allowing yourself to evolve over time. It's so easy to get wrapped up in the mindset and mentality and the trap of, I'm not at 100K. I'm not 5 years farther along than where I should be. I'm not living in the mansion. I don't have my vegetables already blossomed and bloomed, even though I planted them yesterday. I really want to invite you to think of that analogy. When you're growing and you're evolving and you're healing and you're ascending, you're growing a business, you're growing your life, you're overcoming challenges, you have to realize that at the moment you decide to overcome that challenge, that you are planting the seed, a new seed of desire, a new seed of experience, a new seed of challenge that you are now willing to figure out in some way, shape, or form. For example, I am in this new stage in development of my business, in my life, in my journey, in showing up, in being an example, in leading with the same practices and principles that I preach and teach about each and every single day. These podcast episodes come out every single Monday. And in order to make sure they're done, it is 11:30 p.m. on a Sunday evening. I am almost finished this episode with all of you, and my son is in the other room not feeling his best, and he's been throwing up. But I pause the episode when he needs some support, and I take care of him, and I come back and I make sure that this episode is recorded and done, and not just done to get it done, but done because I am so determined to support you in stepping into this next level of yourself, mentally, emotionally, and physically, that it is a requirement. Like, I feel it so deeply within me that it is so necessary to make sure that these things are done and delivered for you, because I understand the value of being able to plug into this kind of work and how much it has helped me in my journey over this time. When you plant that seed of desire, that seed is not going to germinate and blossom and bloom and grow overnight, right? You plant a pea seed and it takes a couple weeks for my gardeners. That might be wrong, but just roll with it, right? You plant a pea seed, and just because you planted it overnight, you can go back every day for the first week and it's not going to break ground. Eventually it will, but that's the same thing as you overcoming a challenge. And it's in that curiosity to say, what barrier am I not seeing, or what perception do I get to shift and reframe right now to support me in my growth, where you really see the outcome start to truly unfold. You really see yourself open up to God and let God start to work through you, because you are starting to get out of your own way. So let's go into the 4 things that are truly going to help you in rising as a potent feminine leader and knowing how. The first one is consistency. You're not always going to want to do the workout. You're not always going to want to make the post. You're not always going to want to do the thing. You're not always going to want to. But it is in the consistency that you reframe and you retrain yourself to know what is important and what is necessary for you to work towards. There has been a multitude of different times where I didn't want to make the post, or I didn't want to take the action, or I was scared shitless of the investment, but I did it anyways because the direction and the vision that I wanted to go was more important than whatever story I was telling myself in that moment. The second one is commitment. Consistency and commitment really do truly go hand in hand, because you have to be committed to the outcome, to the goal, to be able to convince yourself to show up consistently even when you don't want to. I talked about this on my stories today, where I was saying that I had invested in 1 hour of this incredible woman's time, and that it's because of my commitment to where I want to go, and equally my consistency in showing up every day, that I am able to build the foundational beliefs and the trust and surrender that at least at the end of the day, I can truly say that I'm resting my head down on my pillow and I have done everything I can possibly think of. Everything might not work out. You might launch an offer, build a program, join a community, change your mind, change your values, something, and it might not work out. But at least you can say at the end of the day that you showed up consistently. Number 3 is investment. And investment is both time and or money. Investing in your willingness, investing in where you spend your time, investing financially in the places and spaces and containers that are going to help you to evolve your way of thinking, your way of being, your way of doing. The reason you aren't where you want to be is because you either haven't consistently embodied or genuinely committed to where you want to go, or you don't have the perceptive awareness to be able to uncover and understand your own blocks. This is why intuition, I don't want to say blocks, I want to say barriers. This is why intuition is so powerful. And I'm so grateful that God guided me to uncover my intuition and go through the path that I went through to inevitably lead me to back to God, back to faith, back to foundation, because intuition taught me to be more self-aware. And without self-awareness, you'll constantly always be struggling to see beyond your own limitations. Developing your ability to intuitively understand and process yourself allows you to really be able to step back in those moments where you pause and you breathe, take a nice deep breath in and let it out. There you go. And be able to ask yourself, where do I get to see a new perception right now? You might be on your way to work and pissed off because you're hitting all the red lights or somebody cut you off or you're running out of time, whatever it might be. But then intuitively, you can stop and you can process and you can reflect and say, okay, what's going on with me right now? And it's in that curiosity that everything shifts. Equally in, if you're not making the sales or you're not signing the clients, pause and breathe. What is happening intuitively within me right now? Right away, my mind goes to the root chakra, and it says to really readdress your foundation, your identity, where you feel unsecure right now. And that's where faith comes in. Because at the end of the day, I can sit back and I can say, I have literally done everything. Today, for example, I finished writing out the entire map for the mastermind. I wrote out the entire schedule for all of July, for all the things that I'm going to be showing up for Monday to Friday, so that it's pre-planned. I don't have to think about it. It's just there. It's easy. I recorded this podcast. I cleaned up a couple last minute things. I switched over some of the members into the promo rate for $8 a month and took care of business, but also genuinely paused and enjoyed my life. We went to church. We had our neighbors over. We had a wonderful dinner. We played some board games. I navigated some stuff with the Sip and Social with the other ladies. Like, you can truly do it all. And it's balance isn't just, oh, I scheduled 50% of my time for this and 50% of my time with this. Balance is presence. And when you invest in yourself, you gain the ability to see more than you realize you knew, and be able to hold space in different ways. First, always for you, but then for others as well. And lastly, the fourth one is education. Again, investment can equally be time and or money, right? Investing in the coach to educate you or to hold you accountable, or in the program to teach you, to educate you, or it can be in time. Investment can equally be time. The 20 minutes you set aside in the morning, the 1 to 2 things that you absolutely non-negotiably do each day, whatever that looks like for you. But 4 is education. You can't know different or do different. Let's just say, you can't do different if you don't know different. And that's why education is so important. And I feel like in today's day, where the education system really fails people is not teaching them emotional, behavioral, and mental awareness and understanding. And they don't do that because then you become more complacent to the system that has been designed for the last 100 years of our lives to keep us small and to keep us in these bubbles of let me secure your life for you and trust in me. Basically, the government inflated themselves to God. And so education allows you, when you learn in the right ways, which I truly believe should foundationally always be first with self-awareness. And it's something that I'm so grateful to have in my life because I can teach it to my children as well from early ages. And to just be more aware of themselves, of their emotions, of their actions, of their opportunities, of possibilities, and develop that way of seeing the world and seeing themselves, because that's what's going to keep them on track for what they are meant to do in this life. Not what I want them to do, but what they are meant to do, their soul has come here to do. Consistency, commitment, investment, and education are the 4 things that are constantly going to keep you standing out and standing up as a potent leader, whether that be in yourself, in your personal life, and or in your business as well. Because that's also the same 4 pillars that you are turning around and teaching other people how to show up and do for themselves. So I'm going to invite you to really sit and reflect with those and what those mean to you. I'd love to hear your takeaways. Tag me on Instagram with which one of those you're really feeling called to focus in on at this time. All right, I'm going to go and hopefully get some sleep now. I have an early morning ahead of me. Super excited for this new structure to kick off in the membership and the first call of the final round of the mastermind to begin tomorrow. There's just so many incredible things that are taking place right now in life, in the world, in my life, in your life. And it just, my heart just feels so cracked open. I feel so in alignment. There is this peace and this ease and this awe that exists, that I just know that whatever comes my way, whatever comes your way, that there is no way that God is not walking with you. That there is no way that things aren't working out for your greater good. That there is no way that opportunities and doors of possibility aren't opening up even before you can see them. They are. They have. They've been there all along. And now it's just up to you to decide that you are going to walk through those doors. You're going to expand yourself to be able to see those doors if you can't see them yet. Oh, it's so fascinating. I'll leave you with this because this is something that really stems into the comparisonitis that exists that I talked about at the very beginning of this episode. I'm in this group where women daily, constantly post about their wins, their 50K launches, their 100K days, their $1 million months, they're signing 15 clients, 201,000 people enrolling in their programs, like all different kinds of crazy, phenomenal numbers that is just like, wow, what else is possible now? And it's really easy, even if you're in a self-development group and people are posting their wins of overcoming trauma from their past or healing from a mother wound or seeing worthiness within themselves or losing 50 pounds, whatever that looks like, it can be really easy to say, oh, wow, I wish that was me. Jealousy kicks in, but jealousy is truly just a masked desire. You're jealous because you desire something that someone else is sharing or has, and that's why you feel that way. So again, intuitive awareness, what can I see beyond where I am right now? Like, what perception shift gets to take place? And it's in this group where at first it's inspiring. It's like, whoa, like, how are they doing this? Like, what do you mean? How the F did these women get here? One, again, at some point years ago, they planted the seed that allowed it over time to blossom. They developed their skill set. They invested in themselves. They showed up consistently. They were committed to their outcome. They continuously educated themselves. It wasn't just like one woman decided one day, I'm going to do readings, and posted one time, and within a week she was making $100,000. Like, that doesn't happen. I mean, it could. I'm not going to say infinite possibilities, but like, most likely there's like 0.00001% chance that is going to happen if you literally have never done anything before. People don't even know who you are. Anyways, there was a part of me that was so inspired in the beginning of joining this group. And I've been in this group for quite some time now. And then there was a point where I was like, oh man, I just read these and it was a sense of jealousy. Like, there's somewhere that I'm not. Like, what are they doing? And if you go back with those specific people that trigger those responses in you, they also probably have shared posts previously in the past, if they've been in the group or the spaces long enough, where they were stuck in a challenge, where they were struggling to see the better or greater result. And again, it came down to consistency, commitment, investment, and education every single time. And that was a huge determining factor for me when I invested in this 1 hour of this woman's time, where I was like, I am so dedicated to the growth factor, but I also show up consistently each day to first bring myself into alignment with God, to know what my purpose in my service is that day, to set my mindset up properly and intuitively and connectedly. And if necessary, I will either invest in my education, I will read a book to help me with my perception, and I am just committed. That doesn't make it easy, right? Being a mom of 3 kids, 1 on the way, there's ups and downs in so many different capacities, life, motherhood, business challenges, so on and so forth. But those 4 factors continuously reign true to me. So I know inevitably those results that I once felt jealous about are now inspirations again, because I realize that I'm in my own season as well. I'm going through my own education periods as well. I'm going through my own learning and discovery experiences as well. And I'm not where I want to be, because there's things for me to learn. There's things for me to uncover. There's things for me to learn through consistency, through awareness, through education, through investment, through commitment. And it truly gets to be however it's meant to be. And so when I lay my head down on my pillow at the end of the day, I can truly say I've done everything I could possibly think of in trust and faith that it is for the better good, but equally open and willing to see things in a new way if necessary, and letting God do the rest of the work. So I'm going to leave you with that. If you are interested in the Sip and Social, you're local to Edmonton, you want to jump in last minute with the mastermind, you were on the fence and you're not willing to wait any longer. You're on a spiritual self-development journey. You're looking for community, consistency, and education. The Expander membership is for you. And if you're really looking for that one-on-one hands-on experience, I have 3 1-month spots open for one-on-one coaching. Everything will be in the details in the show notes. And of course, you can always reach out to me on Instagram or support@ryleejune.ca, and my team will get back to you with whatever it is that you possibly need. All right. I love you guys. Don't forget to find the magic in today, and I am sending you all the love. Before you go, I would love and appreciate so much if you could take a moment of your time to leave a 5-star review. It helps me to be able to get this message out to so many more in the world, and I am so truly thankful that you choose this place to be every single week. Until next time, don't forget to find the magic in today.